Oh yeah, you know how it is. We gotta get on that rock and roll as we go on the road. Already past my neighborhood, already a few. I believe 93 minutes into the march already. Got that red backpack. This is before the Sabbath special march. Hawk Island, Montreal, HAWK. The island of the Hawk. And we're gonna go around about and you know how it is. And I just backpacked a little bit of those goods, you know, in that fridge. But you sometimes see me packing a little bit of something good in the fridge. Thank you to the donations. Those who donated, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the firefighters, and the truckers, and all those involved in the production and distribution of food, and those who get it on their rock and roll. And that's how we're gonna get doing with that, you know. And that's how we're gonna get doing, you know. And be grateful. Gratitude is grateful. Mental health. Grateful, thankful. My rent's paid, electricity bill's paid, got food and coffee. And, you know, I was at the corner stacking the food, and then two police officers came, asked me a little bit of something, and we had a little bit of discussion. And, you know, I told them that I have Asperger's, and because I approached the car and they said, I told them what the symptoms, the characteristics, they're not really symptoms, because symptoms is for a mental illness, but what the characteristics are, you know. And those characteristics are getting too close to comfort and repeating and being overly discussive and intense, concentrated, super in it. But, you know, I had a good conversation, and they're not perfect, I'm not perfect. And, you know, I was thinking to get into my protocols to discuss the new 911 Total Dragon, new 911 protocols for total security, total service, total defense, for total security, total service, total defense. But that's how we're gonna get doing. And I have discussed them in the past, and I will continue, of course, to discuss them. And that's what it is with the rock and roll. You know, I told them that I have this neurological mental divergent condition, and I told them I had a little bit of a court case and, you know, stuff like that. I didn't go into the level, but I was self-checking, you know, the characteristics. Because being an ASPE, you know, it's not always easy, and it's not that well known, and it's not a common condition. It's just we are different, and this difference, you know, the way we interact socially and communicate can be a bit odd, a bit socially awkward, and that's just how we are, you know. I'm gonna wait for the car here, traffic lights, and hear from my Hawk Island, Montreal. We're gonna go around about it, but just, of course, that I have this condition, just to know, of course, I have this neurological mental divergent condition known as Asperger's, and of course it's HFA, high functioning autism. And this condition makes yours truly, of course, a bit weird, awkward, and bizarre. As many Aspies, when we interact socially, we have a certain lack of knowledge, etiquette, and the formal rules, or the informal rules, and informal, formal rules, informal rules, and those unwritten social rules are a bit more difficult, you know, a bit more difficult for us Aspies. You know, it's something which I always have to check and build bridges with my fellow neurotypicals, because, of course, I'm going to go that way. We're going to cut to the park, because it seems like the light there's a little way there we can pass, and we're just gonna do that and go around about it, and then go to the mountain, my second home. And just a little bit, you know, I have to discuss a little bit of Asperger's, but before, of course, I will discuss and state my gratitude, that I'm grateful, thankful. My rent's paid, electricity bill's paid, got food and coffee, and got a little bit of that food donated, and food, got some noodles where you can put some hot water. Got some, I think there's some sweets, papaya. We can check it actually what it is, and once we get at the top of the mountain, I guess I could do a little bit of a review, whatever the case may be, you know, to get it on the gratitude, you know, being grateful, thankful, you know, electricity bill being paid, and, you know, it's just this neurodivergence known as Asperger's has a lot of obstacles, and I faced a lot of obstacles and suffering, struggles because of it. And it's something that I also learned to, of course, manage and understand fully more, thanks to my anonymous friend, that this difference, having Asperger's, puts me in a small, tiny community, fraction of the population of 0.44%, so it's less than 1 percentile, less than 0.5%, which have, of course, Asperger's, also known as HFA. And this condition, of course, makes us different, and it also impedes us, of course, from regular employment. And I lost a lot of friends, making only friends with benefits now. And I didn't say that to my brothers in uniform, no, to my brothers and sisters in uniform. You know, after you get that uniform off, that's a different deal. You know, and I also, you know, gotta say to all willingly loving, you know, I'm just not looking for anything specific. I'm just, of course, with this, whatever the case may be, and we gotta get on the internet and do a little bit of research about what Asperger's is, and whatever the case may be, you know, with Asperger's, it varies from individual to individual. Just to know that we have these oddities, these strange, weird behaviors and odd behaviors, which the neurotypicals 99.56% don't fully understand. So is that problem to understanding? I'm also building bridges to what this condition is and what it's not. And it's not a mental illness. It's just our brains have these mutations. And so, for example, I was, just to give you an example of how I was operating when before the police officers came and discussed and had a chat. And, you know, we're living tough geopolitical times. You know, we see what's happening with my brothers and sisters in the United States. And as I discussed with the cops, you know, the police officers, I said, of course, about my reincarnation. I served in the SPVM, not a long time, just a few months. In 1904, when Louis said, sometimes I was born a woman, a man in my previous incarnations. And I said today, you know, I'm 50-50, and man, woman, you gotta get that androgynous pansexual. And I discussed being part of the LGBTQ community, and I told them that I wouldn't want to be a judge and, you know, and take anybody's liberty away, you know, anybody's liberty away. And that's what it is. And that's what it is with that rock and roll. And that's how we get it on the go, you know, that it's something which we have to be mindful about. Civilizational privileges, and, you know, civilization is a privilege, and the freedom comes with lots of responsibilities as well, you know. Lots of responsibilities as well, you know. That's just how it is with that, and that's just how we're gonna rock and roll. And of course, then we gotta embellish the public sphere, and we got the public and the private. And I told them a little case, you know, that I would go to court because, you know, some things which ask me sometimes, because we break certain societal rules and norms, we might go to court for certain reasons and certain motives, which sometimes we understand, sometimes we don't fully. We have to be, you know, told certain things, such as if we're too close to a certain citizen. And I don't like violence. I do not like violence. I don't like violence at all. I am hyper vigilant because I lived my trauma and was attacked by surprise years and years ago, you know. Hit my head in the Montreal Metro, had a dislocated right arm. The right arm was dislocated. The shoulder dislocated shoulder, well, the whole arm. And I was at the Jewish General, went to the Jewish General Hospital, and it was cracked back together. It was like replaced. I was put on some meds, and I was like in a coma, stayed for a few days. And for that attack, I was like bloodied up, and that's what it is with that. And I was bloodied up, and I thought I was gonna die, you know, because I thought I was gonna die during COVID, which I survived. So. And then my memory kind of goes blackouts, you know. I got that blackout of memories. I remember mostly the past 7, 8, 9 years, 10 years. It's just, if I go 11 years, I remember moving from that. I lived in a moldy, full of mold, small place. And it was like a little bit of a prison cell like. So I always joke, of course, say that I served my time, you know. Served my time over there. But as I said to the police officers, you know, I wouldn't like to be a judge and have to give, you know, take somebody's liberty away, you know. And that's why, as I sing rock and roll for my brothers and sisters and the boys in blue, I also gotta sing rock and roll for my brothers and sisters who take their second and third chances and turn their life around. And, you know, instead of living a life of crime, you get to contribute to society. And we need you to do that, reform, brothers and sisters, now, coast to coast, for the 63, the 10 provinces, 50 states, 3 territories, you know. Because I wouldn't like to be a judge and say, I'm going to take your liberty away, your freedom away, and send you in the dungeons, and got to reform that North American collective, the Dragons Dungeons. Going to rename the prisons Dragons Dungeons, and put our brothers and sisters for building the 44 gifts of amnesty to undocumented migrants, undocumented workers, and illegal aliens, //. And we're going to give some amnesty. We have to work on some amnesty to give in order. We got to start building those 44 tunnels underground and across the 63. Just gonna hydrate and keep on going. Just gonna wait a few seconds and so here this is a privilege of civilization. That is a privilege of civilization. Just having that drinking water there, potable water, you know, that is a privilege of civilization if you think about it, eh? And having electricity is go Hydro-Quebec, go Hydro-Quebec, go Hydro-Quebec, workers go 24/7. And of course I gotta include the workers at Hydro-Quebec who build dams, those who worked between 1947 and 1991. If you figure out, it's kind of the duration of the Cold War period, which lasted almost 45 years. Almost 45 years, and that's what it is with that, and that's how we gotta get going. And you know, I suffer, struggle, I live with my scars, and as I said, the police officers, you know, sometimes I scratch in privates because I got a scar, and I apply some cream, and I discussed it in the past. There's nothing that I hide, you know. It's nothing that I'm ashamed or embarrassed about, you know. I live with it, and that's what I live with. I live with my trauma, my retrograde amnesia, memory loss, and my memory is super good on the past 7 years, 8 years, 9 years. Then 10 kind of is blurred. And when it goes, of course, to 11, then it's kind of blackouts. It's blackouts. It's just from my journals, what I kept as journals, you know. Just what I kept as journals, you know. That's what I kept as journals. And all my life, I guess, I restarted it then when I moved. And really, when I crossed Canada coast to coast, that event really changed my whole life around. Crossing Canada coast to coast, red my favorite color. Crossing Canada in 2017. When I crossed Canada in 2017 in August, went BC, British Columbia, Vancouver, BC, British Columbia, 2017, and then in September went to Halifax, Nova Scotia. So that event, before that event, and for a few years since I moved, and then after, of course, I was depressed and suicidal. And that event, of course, crossing Canada coast to coast, and coast to coast, and that's what I did, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and that's how we gotta get doing with XYZ, and go get it on the door, and that's what it is for that, and you gotta get doing on the sanitation part of things, you know, super important, of course, to keep sanitated, and that's how I gotta get rock and rolling, and so we're gonna turn the heads left and right here before you cross the street and get on that steel toes, you know. Farmers, the butchers, and the bakers, the nurses, and the doctors, and the firefighters, you know. That's how we gotta get it, and gotta keep to the right side, you know. Keep to the right side, just like crossing on the go, and that's what it is, you know. So that's what it is. That's what it is with that, man. And that's why I gotta get on that rock and roll, and that's what I like, you know. It's something which you can, you know, it's
why wouldn't you take it?
That's what it is, man, you know. So you gotta get on that love, man, sometimes, you know. I like to see people hugging, kissing, and making that love with that, and that's what it is, and that's what it is with that, you know. So back to what I was saying is, of course, that basically what I wanted to introduce is the protocol that I started writing about 7 years ago. Also, keep in mind from a neurodivergent perspective, which there has to be some bridge buildings, but philosophy, intellectual, academic, philosophical things, especially when it relates to my special interest, geopolitics, that I excel in. The other things, as I told the police officers, I am so we have these impediments, these oddities, weirdness, where socially we're not that good socially, because we can be pretty direct sometimes, you know. Pretty direct sometimes. So we can be pretty direct. So that directness might offend some people, you know. Might offend some people. So it's just Asperger's. Asperger's, again, is not a mental illness. It is a neurological mental divergent condition. It's a neurological mental divergent condition which makes us predisposed to special interests, you know. And those special interests makes us that all our daily routines and rituals are preoccupied, and all the involvements, the majority of our time is spent with super intensity, super focus, and super dedication when we do in regards to those special interests. Whatever it may be, somebody might be an Aspie, because it varies for individual Aspies, and of course it could be, of course, cars, you know. Cars. It could be cars, you know. It could be cars. So one Aspie might know everything there is about cars, you know. Might know everything there is about just by the car by looking at it, you know. Might know the dynamics of it, where it was built, where it was manufactured, where it was going, and that's what it is, you know. To get it on the go, and that's what it is, you know. You're gonna get, and that's what it is with that, you know. That's what it is. But me, it's geopolitics, you know. And me, it's geopolitics. And to the fact that I am an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, being that that is the fact, of course, that I am an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, my special interest is, of course, geopolitics, and I am an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist who has predicted what's happening now. I repeat, because it's important, I have proof of work. Back in 2019, I predicted there's going to be an international conflagration, aka World War III, coming. And of course, I created a workout training program system, efficient, effective, and simple. Rather simple in the meaning that it doesn't require any specific utensils. It's just the body and the will volition. You have to have the will, W-I-L-L, to do it. So I performed myself more than 372 sessions. More than 372 sessions. And I said officially, when I'm going to get to 300, I'm going to change my name, you know, to turn that A into an O, turn that A into an O, turn that A into an O, you know. To turn that A into a no. So that's what we gotta get doing with that. So we gotta get it on the go, you know. So something which we gotta get doing, you know. And that's the understanding of Asperger's and being an Aspie, which is part of this neurodivergent community. And my community of Aspies, we're not a lot in the world. Less than 1%, less than half of a percentile, 0.44%. A lot of people don't know what it is. You know. A lot of people have no idea what Asperger's actually really is. Some people have never heard of it. A lot, because it's not common. It's not a mental illness. It is a neurological mental divergent condition. I still use Asperger's, although it's been fused a few years ago with HFA, and more, especially in the 21st century. And I have to recommend the book Appreciating Asperger's Syndrome, because we are great, super excellent at some things, but at other things, we just lack awareness of the, like personal space. We tend to breach it, get too close to comfort for certain people and individuals, get too close to comfort in personal space, get too close to comfort. And of course, from that book, I learned a lot of different things. You need help with the door?
No, thank you very much. Anyway, no, I'm just trying to...
You're welcome.
Merci.
Ça fait plaisir, you're welcome.
I'm just trying to...
Yeah, I understand. I thought I was going to be of some help if needed. But I need help sometimes also, eh?
No, I'm good.
Bye. You're welcome. My auntie there, and since I crossed Canada in 2017, that event changed my life. Before that, I was depressed and suicidal, and crossing Canada, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, made me, of course, come out of being depressed and suicidal. And I established a strong esprit de corps, with my fellow Canadians, or my family, Quebecers, Canadians, and all my brothers and sisters in the 50 states. So we gotta get for the 63, and for the 63, I love that red, and so I gotta get doing with that, and kind of love the wheel there. Just gotta get the wheel, and so we gotta get rock and rolling, man, for my brothers and sisters, and crossing Canada, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. I established a strong esprit de corps, my fellow Canadians, and back then I established, crossing Canada was really something else, and that was a really good deal when I made, and that was something which I gotta get doing with that, and I gotta get it for the rock and roll. I don't have a lot. Let's see. I'm still broke, man. Still broke myself, but hey, I guess put a little bit. Let's see.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I know. Bye. That's what it is, and I gotta get. I'm broke myself, but I guess because my paid rent and paid my electricity bill, and sometimes you just gotta give a little bit, give to receive. And I'm not totally selfless. I don't make the pretense that I am totally selfless, because I'm not, and I had to learn the hard way some things about, especially from that book that my anonymous friend gifted me, that, due to this neurodivergence, due to this neurodivergence which we got, it's a neurodivergence, and that book, Appreciating Asperger's Syndrome, made me realize how my Asperger's has interfered and was a problem for me having regular employment. Unfortunately, my Aspie community, the unemployment rate is very high. It's between 60 and 80%, and we're a tiny, small minority. So for every neurotypical, the majority of 99%, or us less than 1% Aspies, there's 11 times. For each neurotypical, there's 11 times higher, right? 11 times. And the same rate, the problem is also the high depression and suicidal rate. And I lived it. I was depressed, I was suicidal, and it was 9 times. 9 times. 9 times. 9 times. 9 times. It's 9 times, man. 9 times. So for every depressed, suicidal, neurotypical, there's 9 Aspies. It's this problem because we are different, right? So this difference makes us prone to isolation. So we have isolation. That's what we got. Isolation, and that's how we gotta get across the street here prudently, safely. That's how we got, and that's how we got the isolation, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and that's how we have the isolation, loss of friendship, and I gotta admire these beautiful black too. That's how we got, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, So that's what we gotta get doing, man. We just gotta understand how we are different, and then we work to build bridges, to build bridges with the majority of the population of 99.56%. So basically, this weirdness, aspiness, manifests itself, and usually our daily routines, daily habits are formed around a routine, a daily routine. And that routine can be intense, concentrated, and we're super dedicated. The problem is that we tend to be so in our daily routines to the neglect of other things. It's 6 o'clock. So we tend to neglect other things, aspects, to the detriment of other things of life, which, of course, just sometimes I have to be reminded to do XYZ, and I like cleaning, I don't mind. I try to develop a Mr. Clean personality. Mr. Clean personality. That's what it is with that, and that's what I like to develop, a Mr. Clean personality, but I get dirty and get back clean, and sometimes I guess to say that I'm maybe disorganized a bit, and Aspies have that, but not in all things, just in certain things where we have our capabilities, which show in our special interest. So an Aspie might know so many things about, if an Aspie has architecture as a special interest, an Aspie will know so many things, the dates, the decades, the architectural style, the origins, the history, the design back from ancient Egypt, ancient Sumer, ancient Babylon, ancient Rome, whatever the case may be. So we know so many things about the whole architectural complexities and what's required to build it, and the information, the wisdom, the knowledge about the architecture, about the architecture. Or if it's science, might know so many things about science. Whatever the case may be, if it's art or cars, might know so many things about cars and art, and that's how we go, That's how we're gonna do it. So it varies. It could be cars that the ASPI knows so many things by just looking at a car, how many miles it can go an hour, how much kilometers it can go by a liter or a gallon of gasoline, and how much is required to get it on the road, and all the technical, all the details. And me, it's geopolitics. I even said to the police officer, I said, if I discuss geopolitics, I'm not going to stop. And I predicted what's happening now, back in 2019. So my work also, I refer to my philosophical intellectual work when I wanted to discuss the new 911 Dragon protocols to integrate across the 63 to 50 states, 10 provinces, and 3 territories. And to my brothers and sisters, I'm watching you like a hawk because you were deployed, the Marines and the National Guard, and I was born in the USA 3 times. Once as a woman, post 70-76, you get that 50-50 now. Balances equates out. And twice as a man. Twice as a man. When I was twice as a man, served in the United States Armed Forces 2 times. Different wars, 156 years apart. 156 years apart. 156 years apart, man. That's what it is with that. That's how we're gonna get doing, man, And that's what we gotta get doing with that, man. And so we gotta get on the circumcision, to make some new understanding. And of course, I would urge sportsmanship. The most important is sportsmanship. To the police deployed, To the police deployed, police who are deployed there, to be applying sportsmanship. Just sportsmanship, That's the most important, one of the most important things. Sportsmanship in the application, because you cannot just based on force, and strength. As much as I understand peace through strength, you cannot just base everything on force and strength. It has to be some love and understanding, It has to be some love and understanding, And it has to be some love and understanding. So that's what it is with that, and that's what we gotta think about that. As much as I understand peace through strength, I don't fully support it. I understand it, but of course I gotta say we gotta be complementary with some love and understanding. So apply both things and give people a warning, a second chances, and we need to integrate that North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act and the new 911, the new Dragon 911 protocols, the new 911 Dragon protocols for the North American Collective, for of course total security, total service, total defense, based of course on whatever the case may be, and whatever the case may be with the LOVE, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and we gotta get on that meditation and not doing, it requires doing. Because all this civilization, having electricity, running water, electricity is all a privilege, So the privilege of electricity is something which we have to take in mind, and we have to consider that we got to get it on the go with that, and we got to get it on the do, So it's something which we got to be mindful of right now as I am here, and all my brothers and sisters across the 63 for the Empire pre-Sabbath, marching pre-Sabbath for the Empire, for the kingdom, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom is fundamentally my dream for the North American Collective, for a public-private partnership, for a PPP, public-private partnership. Please don't waste food. Please don't waste food. I hope you come back and please eat this. Please eat this. Don't leave it here. If I come back tonight, and please don't no food waste. Think about that. No food waste, please. No food waste. Food waste. You got to think about that. Let's try to minimize, food waste, and super important to be aware, and that there's somebody else, and I have to work on it as well. I have to work on it as well. I have to work on it as well. Just it's time to implement my protocols, my initiatives, and the new 911 North American protocols, of course, for the total rehabilitation and the North American population, and that's how we gotta get doing on that, man. For the North American Collective, the North American population to get doing on the go, and that's how we gotta get doing on the go side of things, and that's how we gotta get doing on the LOV, man. So we gotta get now rock and rolling for that, and gotta get doing on for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, firefighters, grocery store clerks. I always gotta give some salutation to the truckers now. Truckers. across the 63. My brothers and sisters in police in the uniform, especially those deployed. Tomorrow's that big day. No kings, no kings, no kings. I don't want to be king anybody but the free, the free, the free. The brave, the strong, the free, the 63, and the loving. Because if there's no love, the free, the brave, and somebody's donated some food, and thank you, LOVE. I'm gonna take some because I still am financially stressed, and although I give a little bit of charity, I guess it compensates by me giving a little charity to the beggars, my brothers and sisters who for XYZ reason, you know, if I wouldn't have moved, and who knows, maybe my life I would have been dead or in jail, and I guess I served my time. I was depressed, suicidal, and it's the farmers, the food producers, the bakers, and I'm not totally altruistic, I'm not totally selfless, you know, I'm not totally selfless. I'm not totally selfless, but I gotta try to be in the middle, you know, less selfish, and you know, that's nice. And you got some soup. The only thing I'm gonna take is these buns here. That's what I'm gonna put it to use. And thank you for the donation, and that's great. I'm gonna leave somebody else, and this is always for the bakers, the butchers, and I'm gonna have to get that disinfectant, and that's something which we have to be doing. And so I give a coin here and there, and always happy, you know, get a little bit of that good bread. So thank you, and gotta live a little bit of that loving here, you know, gotta get doing a little bit of that loving with XYZ, and that's what we gotta get doing for the love side of things, you know, because we got that bread now, and this is gonna help me have a little bit of nutrition. And I have some bacon, not bacon, it's actually, correction, it's beef. So I have beef at home, so that's what we're gonna stack it in and put it in right here in the sun. And I'm gonna disinfect it because, you know, there's bacteria germs, so there's some microbes, bacteria germs. Gonna make some nice sandwiches with the bread, and it's Canadian, you know. Since 1890, when I was in a past life, I was already born, but that's when in 1904 I served a few months in the police, and I met Louis Sir here. For the SPVM, it's been founded since 1843, since 1843, you know, so Quebec. And I have the disinfectant here. This is Canadian disinfectant, see? Canada Main hand sanitizer, antiseptic hand sanitizing gel, antiseptic hand sanitizer gel, hand sanitizer gel. That's what it is, and that's how we gotta get that hand sanitizer gel, and we're gonna get it on the go, and that's how we gotta get it. And see, gonna put it on the hands and spread it here, and there we go. Pack it in, and I have this in case this gets cold. And these are the other products I had from before. I was when the police officers came, I was disinfecting them, and that's what I was doing. I was disinfecting them because of microbes, bacteria. So I got this protein, and these I'm gonna show my nano's friend is tortilla chips, and this is papaya. This I'm gonna give for half to my friend, because papaya. And this one is soup, but it's written in Hebrew on it, so imported. Canada by Ultra Foods, ALTRA, Ultra, 5 letters, ALTRA Foods Inc. in Montreal, and it's exported by Willy Food International Ltd, G Willy, GWILLY Food International Ltd from Nahal Sharif Street in Yavne, Israel. So this is what it is here, and this is what we're gonna get doing with that. And here we're gonna put it in, and that's how we're gonna get rock and rolling for that. And that's how we're gonna get rock and rolling, man. See? This protein, you can just put water. So I'm grateful for the food, you know? Grateful, thankful, food. Gotta get it on the job. I'm auctioning this for a million. I love Montreal. A million to give half to my anonymous friend. And now we are gonna ascend, go to the mountain, but I think we're gonna go by another side. Yeah, this time we're gonna go differently. Because usually we take kind of the same routes, but now we're gonna change it a little bit. We're gonna change it a little bit of that. We're gonna change a little. Sometimes it's good, but we still go to my second home, you know, Mount Royal. We still go there, and now I guess it's got maybe 44, almost 45 pounds, and that's what we gotta get doing with that. And that's what we got on the line get. And we got the backpack on, so we're gonna keep on proceeding and how we can go here. Yeah, we're just gonna go by another side because usually we take this route. We would have taken it there, but